Hey everybody, this is Lewis. I'm behind the mic tonight. So glad y'all are here joining us this evening. I know that the shot here is of the lovely Amelia, and I know it's slightly out of focus. I'll make sure that it gets back into focus. This evening, Erica and Evie and Chelsea and Tina is going to be off the camera, also painting in the background. I might sneak a peek with one of the cameras at what she's painting on sometime during the show without her knowing. But I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday season, and we're so excited you're here. Please bring in comments, say things, ask questions, and I will make sure to feed them to our artists and tell us where you're coming from. Look forward to having another wonderful evening of Painting from Life with y'all. All right, without further ado, let's get going.
Okay, the big challenge is going to be having my solvent can down next to the tea.
Hey everyone, we're working on the sound right now. I should have it fixed in just a moment. Okay, y'all.
As you can tell, y'all weren't missing anything when the sound was off.
We're deep in thought over here.
Yeah, we revealed all the secrets of painting during this time.
Did you set the timer?
What's that?
The timer for the mile?
Tina, MVP.
All right, we've got a couple of people who've chimed in, and we have Elijah, who was just asking, have you guys tried walnut oil or alkyd medium before, or alkyd paint? And and he says hello from the Bay Area. So we miss all of the secrets. Dang.
Did you say walnut oil?
Yeah.
I'm
I
using
think
walnut
so.
oil right now.
Is there anything in particular you like about it?
I like how it yellows a little bit less than linseed oil. It dries a little bit slower than linseed oil, and it's like a little bit more, like the way it spreads, it's like a little, I can't remember the word.
Like
It's
not
less
viscous.
goop- Yeah.
Yeah.
Not viscous.
I'm here
So
for you.
a little bit goes a long way, and in my opinion, less is more when it comes to oil. So, but I won't use it all the time. But for something like this, where I don't want to use solvent for something one shot like this, I like to use it. And if it's something where the atmosphere is light and the colors are light, then if I can have less yellowing, then that's always a plus.
Yeah, I know for me, I will typically only use alkyds when, for some reason, I have a deadline on a painting. Like the client's coming tomorrow and I have realized there's something terrible happening on the painting that I need to fix. Or like I need to varnish the piece by a certain time and I've realized that, again, there's like some mistake on it. I find that alkyd is really nice for that. But I don't use it as like a general practice because I like my paint to be more open. I like for it to have a longer open time. I don't want it to dry as a part of the process.
Gail says hello from Oregon.
Hello. Hello, Gail from Oregon.
We also have Jose and TJ Doran. Jose from Michigan, and TJ from New Jersey.
All right, so before we started, we were talking about things we do that are creative, that are just for ourselves, that aren't like a part of what we do for making art for sale. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm about ready to throw like all of social media into a fire. I've realized that everything is better if I'm not spending time on there. So
I second you.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to, like, one, just spend more time with people, not like strangers on the internet. Except for y'all. Y'all are great. Thank you for watching. And then, keeping myself busy, not by falling down a TikTok hole, but instead, like, actually doing something. So I'm really curious what you all like to do when you're not painting.
So first of all, again, I really like your statement that you're making about it's such a waste of time in terms of my own life experience.
Yeah.
I waste too much time on it, where I'm not actually, like you're saying, connecting with people. Like I'd rather actually connect with people.
Yeah.
But then using it as a tool, for example, something like this, where you can't see people in person, it's great for that. But to answer your question, personally, I like to bake. So this is the great season for that. So that's my plan for this weekend, is to make some cookies, do some stuff like that.
What are your favorite recipes? Like, what are you gonna make this weekend?
This weekend, I will make some family favorites, like pizzelle and maybe sugar, like cut out cookies that I'll decorate, that I'll spend too much time decorating.
Of course.
So
Are we doing like cookie and or gingerbread decorating here at East Oaks? Because I feel like that needs to happen if it hasn't already.
I love decorating
Totally
games.
cookies.
Excellent.
So kind of like a funny, awkward cake baking and decorating phase when I was in high school. Because I just watched all of the Food Network everything and just got really into it. And like would sculpt little decorations out of like sugar paste and
I love
all these different things. It was so much fun.
Chelsea, Christmas extravaganza is happening.
Excellent. Yeah, just let me know when. I will be here.
Gail says, yes, Chelsea, thanks for saying so, and also says knitting, sewing, gardening, etc. Wendy Rose says, hello from rainy Massachusetts, and we have Milo from the Netherlands coming in, and then Anne Britt is in Sweden, and it's midnight there. So we have lots of people coming from lots of places.
That's awesome.
Thanks for staying up to watch us.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have wanted to go to Sweden for a very long time. It seems like a really, really beautiful country. I went through a funny phase in college of, just deciding one day, oh, I want to learn a new language. And I studied Swedish very briefly. I probably butchered the pronunciation of most of it, but I tried.
That's really cool.
Wendy says, I'm having such a hard time getting back into the studio after having 2 heart attacks, 4 stents 2 weeks ago. Help. I don't know why I'm so scared.
Wow. Well, we're certainly all very, very glad that you're okay. Health is always the priority.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like you almost certainly are still just like physically recovering, even if you feel like, you should be like back at it. That stuff can like take a while before you feel like you're back to normal. And I wonder if that is possibly part of it. That like, even though you want to dive in, rest is what your body is like really wanting.
I think, yeah, definitely experiencing health complications or, traumas in that way, like really can get in the way of like us being ourselves in the studio. And I think it's really valiant that, you're here and you're working on getting there, but, just make sure that you're taking care of you too and giving yourself the time and space that you need to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, all I need is a migraine to be at the point where like I need to take a week off from, staring at a painting. Even if I feel okay otherwise, it's like, I don't know, that it can absolutely be just objectively a lot. Fear or no fear.
Migraines are rough.
Yes.
Feel you there. I wonder if maybe, was it Judy? Was that her name?
Wendy.
Wendy, I'm so sorry. If, if you're having trouble getting back at it, maybe you could try to create some work that's sort of about that, or like about your feeling, and, kind of maybe use it as like an art therapy opportunity. I think art has such a great capacity for healing, and maybe that could be a good route.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think, too, kind of the stuff we were just talking about around like other things that are kind of painting adjacent or creativity adjacent. I was talking to Evie before we started about sculpting, which I am not a sculptor, but
Yes.
but this is just kind of something for me. Like I do it while the TV is on, so I have something to do with my hands. It's a very low stakes kind of thing. And for whatever reason, starting something like that feels a lot less intimidating than painting, where, you know, I've done it long enough that there can be kind of the pressure to like make something that's at a certain level. This, I'm just kind of having fun. And I wonder if there's something like that that you could engage with, Wendy.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to focus or viewing art as more of the practice of painting rather than the result of painting. And so getting back into the flow and being really graceful with yourself as you feel the natural rest that comes with taking time off and getting back in, like, you know, just focusing on enjoying the setup of your palette, you know, like taking time to just experience those things and being mindful about it.
Yeah, I really like those kinds of routines.
Yeah.
Like, typically I let my brushes soak in oil rather than like cleaning them at the end of a session.
Yeah.
So I typically start my sessions by cleaning and organizing. And if I just tell myself like, okay, today I'm going to make time to just do that. I am just cleaning brushes. I will kind of naturally decide to paint after.
Yeah.
Because I've already started and I've reduced the kind of friction. I find that that's really helpful.
Wendy says, thank you so much for your kind words. It's so very helpful. Yes, embrace it some. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Milo says, so sorry that all that you've gone through, Wendy. I'm truly sympathize. Have gone through a health scare myself last week. So we all of our thoughts to everybody out there who's going through those things. But yeah, and then Lab says, hello from West Virginia, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful time today, or time of day.
Have any of you guys ever read a book or know of a book called The Artist's Way?
Oh yeah, Julia Cameron, man.
Yeah.
She knows what's up.
Like, I feel like that's certainly a book that I would recommend, you know, for being in a time of like healing and sort of regrounding your relationship with painting and your work. I think there's a lot of like very useful and beneficial nuggets of wisdom in there.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. The two books that I typically recommend are The Artist's Way and then The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. The War of Art is much more like, just do it. And I feel like The Artist's Way is like
A gentler
yeah, exactly.
approach.
And so I feel like that's the perfect suggestion here.
Yeah, I know that personally that book has really helped me in some difficult times, and it's very near and dear to my heart, so hopefully it can be a benefit to somebody else out there too.
Benjamin Lester says, on a lighter note, did you hear about the artist who sold out? He was just in it for the Monet.
But I'm bumped.
The healing power of laughter.
There you go.
Jenny from New Zealand says, I'm so enjoying this and I'm grateful for these sessions. All right, everyone. Well, that was perfect timing. We're going to take a 5-minute break and we'll be right back.
We're doing 20 minutes, right?
Oh, I have glasses on. I was like, why can I see so many things?
I have a question. Does that ever, as a non-glasses wearer, does that ever like impact how you would set up a model or a still life or anything like that?
I'm like -1 is my prescription. It is not bad.
Okay,
Glasses off is just me squinting at her without the value change of eyelashes.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. It's probably bound to give me a headache. But then again, I feel like squinting would do the same thing, so.
Yeah. It evens out.
Oh, that's right, I was gonna tone my canvas because I saw what y'all did and I was like, that was smart. I love things like painting the background or toning the canvas because I feel so productive and I'm doing so little.
Chelsea, what have you been up to in the studio lately?
What have I been up to in the studio? I had a photo shoot a couple weeks ago of a model that I was brave enough to walk up to, like, who was just like a stranger at the time. And I was like, hey, I know this is weird, but I do this for a living. I'm an artist. Can I like paint a portrait of you?
That's awesome.
So yeah, I have Louis helped talk me through a very last minute photo shoot to get some reference of her, and I have already painted one of her, and then I have another one that I just did like a little color study of. I don't know why I'm mixing up this color. This color goes nowhere. It's just Yeah, so I'm about to embark on the second piece of her. I would love to do something a little bit larger scale, but I think what I'll have to do is do a second photo shoot with her to get the reference for something like that. And then I have some reference from a couple of other things. I have reference from a horse farm. I have reference from the Carolina Tiger Rescue.
I love that place.
Yeah, it's like a tricky place to get reference like from, just because all of the animals are behind chain link fences.
And you can't really pose tigers.
That's true. That's also a
They're not good at
difficulty
following
there.
direction.
And so, yeah, I have a few other pieces that like I could dive into. It's really just about balancing like the end of the year craziness with time to sit down and do it. Do you have anything that you're like starting on right now, Erica, or that you have kind of in the...
I am focusing on wrapping up this eucalyptus rose painting.
How's that going?
It's coming along. This whole week was just attacking the eucalyptus, the thing that is the most complicated and takes the most time and requires the most, I would say it's the most annoying.
I could feel that bubbling up.
Part of the painting. And so this week was doing that, to just attack it, just dig into it. And then I have still the glass vases to finish, but that will be more fun.
Nice.
And then I'll be able to like wrap up the painting. It'll be finished. So we're almost there.
Almost there.
Home stretch.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about this here at East Oaks, how it's like the last 20% of the painting takes 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And feeling that.
Yeah. How do you, so as somebody who generally paints alla prima, and I typically err on the side of like, not looser is better, because that's kind of like a value statement, but like looser is what I tend toward. If when in doubt, just let it be done.
Yeah.
How do you maintain momentum and consistency on a piece that you can be working on for weeks on end?
I think that it's part of it is developing patience. Like, patience is a virtue in this kind of situation.
Sounds like patience is also a skill in that situation.
Yes,
Yeah, it's something you have to like practice.
Yeah. And being able to break it down into bite-sized pieces, and then that way, like, it felt a little overwhelming having all of these leaves that are tangling into each other, and like my plants are dead, and trying to like retroactively work with the design that I've created and how do I make it better. And if I have areas where I'm giving myself, I'm going to focus on this with a clear goal in mind, it helps break it down, and then that way if I break it down into more bite-sized pieces, then I have more energy to do it because it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming.
Do you tend to like chunk the painting down and say like, okay, I'm going to paint this thing and get it to done, and then I'm going to move on and paint this next thing until the whole painting's complete, and then you might do a final pass?
Yeah, in general, I will paint it all to this will depending on the subject. For example, my roses die faster, so I tried to paint them to a finish.
Yeah.
As quickly as possible. But for something where it doesn't die as quickly, then I will get it to a stage of not finish, but unity, where everything is kind of put down, but maybe needs one more pass to finish, or maybe two. And I'll get it to everywhere where it's at that kind of middle stage, so I can see the whole painting and how it's working together. And then I'll go back into it and into a more finished stage, choosing my focal areas and refining those areas first, and then branching out, so that way I have something to reference. And then I'll do a final pass over the whole thing to make sure, in that final pass, I'm not repainting anything, I'm just tweaking like here and there, making sure that the focal areas that I want to come forward or like the order in which it would be cool to view the painting, making sure things are synced up in that sense.
Yeah.
And so that's in general the timeline.
That's really cool. I feel like that's really helpful for a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of painters who, aspire to paint like you, I think one of the things that can get in the way is like maybe working on a painting for weeks isn't necessarily foreign, but that's like weeks of kind of feeling stuck.
Yes.
Painting on something where like you're working on it for weeks and like every day you are being genuinely productive. I feel like that's such a relevant skill and a helpful thing to, talk more about.
It's something too that learning how to work with what you've already put down without repainting everything that was a skill I had to learn, and it wasn't something that a teacher could say, oh, you just do it like this. Like, it took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to work with what I already had put down.
Yeah.
And I think it's helpful. It's helpful to do projects that you in your mind let yourself work through as like academic exercises, where you're I'm doing this project so I can learn how to like you have a lesson that you're deliberately wanting to practice.
Yeah.
It's helpful to have those things. That way you're not trying to do a commission and then figuring out how do I work with what I've already put down.
I feel like that is such a good piece of advice, because I talk to artists and help talk them off the ledge more often than not when they are trying to learn on a commission. I think the best piece of advice I wind up giving in that situation is like, if someone wanted you to paint something, they weren't hoping you would be better than what they've already seen. Like, go paint that to your current ability. And then if there were pieces you wish you could have done better, which I think is true in so many commissions for so many artists, then go ahead and like be very intentional about the academic exercise that might come next.
Yeah, and anytime you go into a project with a deliberate, mindset, you always get more out of it. That way, there's a lot of, I think sometimes it's like, oh, I'm just taking a barg, for example. Like, oh, I'm going to copy a barg. Well, if you don't go into it with intention, I can totally understand how people can say, why am I doing this? What's the point?
Yeah.
Why am I spending so much time? And you don't know where you're ending up either. And so going into things with intentions always, I think, a useful practice.
Yeah.
I think it's also helpful, let's say you can't afford to do an academic study, you have a commission, you need to learn something, it's time. Do studies. Doing preparatory studies, that way you can work through how you want to layer your paint, or work through ideas on the study on a small scale, low stakes. That way you can work through those questions, and then when you get to the bigger painting, you have a roadmap of where you want to go.
Yeah.
Psychologically, it makes things a lot easier.
It's funny you say that. I literally just recorded a YouTube video on this topic.
Oh,
and
perfect.
How you can use those preparatory studies. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because that just reaffirms like somewhere out there someone's gonna enjoy that video and get something out of it.
No, they're so useful. It took me a while to understand that they weren't meant to be mini paintings. And then once I let go of that idea, I could actually use it to work through something, and I got a lot more out of it.
I am really sad that you're telling me this after I've like recorded my voiceover for it, because I would use that sound bite. I think you articulated that perfectly, and I think I see artists like grapple with that all the time, and I just hadn't quite named it. So I appreciate you sharing that here.
I say it's from Florence Academy. Everything that, all of that we had to do. We always had to do studies before our projects, and color studies value studies, all that jazz. Really, really useful. And sometimes, in the moment you might think, oh, what's the point of doing this? I just want to, like, I'm itching to get started. Like, I want to paint, and, another opportunity to practice patience. But I think that delaying that energy a little bit won't hurt your painting. I think that it'll help it, actually. It's not like you're going to miss out on something if you work through a study. I think it'll help your process.
Yeah, I think to your point, it'll actually, your full life cycle on that project is going to be shorter.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And I think it'll help you carry your energy through the painting rather than getting frustrated and earlier and then cycling over that. So.
Yeah.
I'm just really feeling what y'all are saying, because I have spent this whole past week on a study for a larger painting. It's very affirming to hear that.
What is the larger painting that you are studying for?
I am currently working on a self-portrait that involves a very drapey linen dress that is just constantly changing as I'm painting it, and it's gonna be fun.
I'm really curious I feel like if I were tackling something like that, I feel like that's just where I would say, okay, I'm gonna get some of the color notes and really try and understand the big form from life, and then I just take a picture.
I will likely take some pictures just for supporting reference to have, just in case. But I'm enjoying working in the mirror. I haven't done a self-portrait from life before. And having to look at yourself all day long is kind of a weird,
Isn't it weird?
psychologically weird sort of experience. But, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it thus far.
Nice.
Part of working from life, where everything's changing all the time, I always find it helpful to think about it as being, instead of getting frustrated about it changing all the time, thinking of it as opportunity for design in that way. And then you end up constructing more rather than copying, and it becomes a lot more fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's, it makes the end product more lifelike, because it is more lifelike.
Yeah. And attitude is everything.
Okay, per everyone's request, I'm going to also put the one camera back on the model. So that will be coming up shortly. I'm going to do a quad view again so that everyone can see what everyone's doing all at once. So while I am on the mic, I am also going to go through a few of the things that people have said here. So Jenny was commenting on Erica's painting, loving the soft grace behind the head, your gentle gestures appeal. So interesting to watch all four of you progressing. So, and then Benjamin says, do you lose all belief in yourself about 2/3 of the way through a painting? Or is it just me?
Yep, the answer is yes.
And Joseph asked to ask for the names of all the artists here and where they appear in the video. I'm going to see if I can put everyone's names in there so that you can see which one is which. So that will be no problem.
I think the biggest, I find it the most helpful, I'll say, when I feel like I can't do something. I mean, my biggest piece of advice is to just do it anyway, even if you don't feel like you can do it, or you're not good enough, or you have self-doubt. As much as you can, just do it anyway.
All right, that's time for the model.
I think this is going fast, y'all.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I've taken a long time drawing.
All right, everyone, we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and I'll have up that quad view with all the different angles. All right, talk to you in a bit.
How you doing? Good.
Everybody, you're live.
Was that your eye twitching, or did I just imagine that? What? I thought I saw your eye twitching, and I was like, "Oh God, we need to like rest her a minute longer."
I had a chronic eye twitch for like the first 3 months that I was here. Yeah, it was really something else. And apparently that had happened to Divya too at one point.
There's something in the air. All right, are y'all gonna go see Avatar?
I never saw the first one.
Man.
Are we talking Airbender or
The new James Cameron that just came out in theaters.
The blue people.
Yeah.
the Blue People one? I'd be down. I enjoyed the first one.
Will you see it?
I am. I actually was surprised because like the Alamo had a ton of open seats for opening night yesterday, and I like almost canceled plans and just went by myself, but I am taking a friend on Monday to go see it.
That'll be fun. I haven't been to a movie theater in eons.
I know, I haven't really had a movie I've like really wanted to go see in a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like this will be like a nice romp.
All right, so everybody has to now tell me about their Christmas plans. What do they have going on during the holiday season? Go see family, travel at all?
My whole family's here.
Yeah, I'm pretty stationary for the most part. I'll be going to Maryland for New Year's for a very, very quick trip, but otherwise staying here.
Are there people you're seeing in Maryland? Or are you doing something in Maryland?
Yeah, my dad and his family live up there, and I also do have a buddy from college who still lives up in Baltimore who I might go say hi to. Yeah.
Nice.
Otherwise, yeah, North Carolina local.
Yeah. Are you doing that for like actual New Year's, or are you just doing that around New Year's?
Yeah, I think I'll be gone like over New Year's Eve/day,
Yes.
which will be fun.
Yeah, I'll just be here with family locally.
How much of your family is here, Erica?
We're all here.
Nice. Yeah. Same. There's,
Me too.
yeah.
Yeah, come to think about it, Tina and I are the only ones who have all of our family elsewhere.
What are you doing, Louie? Are you here? Are you visiting people? Are you doing both?
For the first time, all of my family is coming here right after Christmas. So my sister, who's never been to North Carolina, and her whole family, and obviously my brother and his wife live here, and then my mom and dad and my other brother and his wife and little one. So we'll have a very full house a few days after Christmas through New Year's. So it'll be a blast.
Are you hosting, or are people, staying with like your brother and?
Oh no, this is going to be a good old Griswold family Christmas. We are all going to be in the same house together. It's going to be chaotic and absolutely wonderful. I'll make sure to hang some more lights and fall off a ladder, or
God.
do something that put a really big Christmas tree up in the middle.
Right. Well, I'm glad you understand what the holiday spirit's all about.
Exactly. Good wholesome fiescos. Make sure I get a Jelly of the Month Club card.
Tina, I know you're not on mic. That's not a phrase. But what are you doing for the holiday?
Well, we're staying here because flights are crazy expensive now. So it's just gonna be me, Brian, and the cat, and our mini baby Christmas tree.
You can come spend it with my family if you
Yeah, I
want.
was like, you can come. We can do so many things.
It's okay. I'm gonna cook. We're gonna have a lot of food. It'll be fun. Yeah.
All right, Chelsea, speaking of, 23rd is when East Oaks Christmas extravaganza is happening.
Okay, I'm so glad that you told me while I have my calendar handy and my
Yep.
hands free.
Yes. So mark it on your put it on the canvas, like right next to the portrait. There you go.
Yeah. If someone buys this painting, they're gonna be like, "What the hell did she do?"
What does this mean?
It's a secret message.
It kind of makes me think of I've seen shots of Richard Schmid starting paintings, and he'd start a portrait by just doing a smiley face. I feel like you have to be truly great to bring that level of trolling to. Oh, I feel like the tea kicked in. I'm just like, why do I have this energy? Yes.
Anna Britt says, hidden messages makes the painting.
I'm really hoping I'm not doing something that, okay, no, I'm doing something on the 22nd. I think I'm doing something on the 20th. I think it's gonna happen.
Yay!
Yeah. Also, I think I have a drawing error.
So B Gill has a question. I have a question for all of you guys. Right now you're working from life, mainly for practice in this case, since a finished portrait would need many more hours. So my question is, how do you balance working from life and working from reference when attempting a complete portrait? And what advice do you have related to this? Thank you.
That's a good question. I think it partially depends on the portrait. I definitely would advise working from life as much as possible. However, like, you know, I think some artists kind of think like, oh, like working from a photo reference is like taboo. I'm not really one of those people. If you want to do it, do it. I think there's advantages and drawbacks to both methods. What do you guys think?
No, I think that's really important. I think that working from photographs is necessary in some cases. Like if you want to be a sporting artist, like, yeah, man, go to a ranch and try and capture the exact moment an animal is in midair while it runs around at top speed. Like there's just some places where, yeah, like there's no point in kind of being on your high horse about like working from life. And, you know, beyond the fact that sometimes it's frankly just necessary if you want to capture certain things. Like for instance, you know, if you look at older paintings don't have horses running the way horses run. Like never were horses in that pose. And it wasn't until we had photography to capture the horse's gait in motion that we started to understand it. And now we can look back at that and we can, because we have that resource, we don't necessarily have to have the photo every time, but the photo is like really essential to get that level of understanding. And so that's an important piece to this. But I think also, I talk to a lot of painters who like feel really intimidated about the prospect of hiring a model. And I think especially if you're learning, it can hinder the learning process because you are more concerned with making this worth the model's time or the money you might be paying that model, or like, I know sometimes people are worried that the model is going to want to see it and they like don't want to offend the model if they didn't have a good painting session. And so with situations like those, I think there's a real benefit, psychologically speaking, to letting yourself work from a reference that can't look at your painting and isn't on the clock. And of course, working from life is also great, but I don't think that one has as much taboo around it.
In terms of how the process changes, personally for me, when working from, like doing a quick portrait like this versus something that takes longer, I find, or that I have more time to spend, in terms of how the process changes for me, I find I have to prioritize, remember what my priorities are. And for something like this, my priorities will be trying to capture the likeness of the model, but not to the detail that I could get if I spent more time. And so it's like mostly about gesture and kind of essence, and then skin tones as well, so I get a feel of the model. And I think that anytime you set your priorities, like we were talking about earlier, you set them out, then it makes it easier when you're making decisions to have a path of where you're going to go. So let's say you are practicing and you want to start painting from life and learning that approach. But again, like Chelsea was referencing, maybe you're concerned about how much time you're going to have to pay for and everything like that. Giving yourself just a few goals for that individual study, and that way you are kind of working more methodically and not trying to make a highly rendered, detailed painting when you only have 3 hours. And you're just learning,
Thank you for getting that question back on track, because I feel like I ran with what Evie was talking about, and then as soon as you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't really the question.
I feel like I keep having to remind myself to step back. Like, I think this is probably the first time I've stepped back the entire time.
That would be smart. I should do that. Evie is smart. Be like Evie.
Yay!
So Carolina has a question. In 2006, my college capstone focused on establishing a business. Our professors fill his truck with his paintings and travel to galleries around the country. How has the art business changed since you began?
I feel like that's a kind of tricky question to ask people who are all, I'm pretty sure, under the age of 33.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lewis has the most experience amongst us. So
yeah.
I'm the old guy of the group.
No, but you've been just painting more.
You are the wise one.
the sage of East Oaks.
Louis, do you want to answer that?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it. I think that there's quite a few things. One is there's some things that are still valid to do that have been age-old practices that just look slightly different in today's present day environment. So I kind of put to what you're saying about the galleries and traveling around with paintings, kind of almost like a book tour. You're going to different towns to just make sure that your name is relevant. The good thing is that with the different ways of social media and the like, you don't have to travel as much to do your PR work. So that is a really good thing. I think that the way it's changed mostly is that there are more revenue streams in different business models you can take and approach. So there's different ways that you can still be an instructor. There's different ways that you can still release content. and there's different ways that you can deliver your paintings to your audience. So everything from printing your work to actually selling your paintings, and how you do it, or there's quite a few different avenues to take. So I think my biggest takeaway or biggest thing to say is that we should consider the fact that what you have available to you, you need to tailor towards your personality of how you like to approach your audience. So if you're extremely extroverted like me, human interaction and still doing sort of guerrilla marketing is a fantastic way to continue to create good connections. You might want to, start a program where you have artists come and paint with you, kind of like how East Oaks does. But then there's other people who don't want to have as much interaction with their audience, and selling through galleries is most certainly an option. So it's a really broad question that I could probably do a week-long course on, so it's hard to tie everything into a nutshell. But the short of it is there's just a lot of more options for artists in order to make an income, and you're not tied to one way of doing it.
Already.
I know, like,
That went by
what on
Yeah,
earth?
these are getting faster.
I swear it was 20 minutes.
So that is our 20-minute mark, everyone. And we will be back in about 5 minutes.
Yummy. Oh, that's a terrible collar temperature for my old 23 that I have to rub out now. No, I can fix this.
I believe in you.
Thank you. I kind of enjoy, I don't know, just like very intentionally messing around when I'm painting. I feel like that attitude has developed over time. I'm just like, yeah, I can just do whatever on this, it's fine. I feel like it weirdly kind of helps me paint better than feeling like, okay,
Yeah.
perform. As voila.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. I just got that much more acquainted with my tools and
There
materials.
you go. Opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, oh, it must be the TV upstairs. I was like, I feel like people are descending upon East Oaks right now.
The siege has begun.
All right, Caroline says, if you use social media, what's your favorite platform and
None
why?
of them.
How much time do you spend on social media business-wise?
I like YouTube because it is the only social media platform that's not Pinterest, that's a search engine, rather than just a pure algorithm. Which means it's not just recent stuff that's getting found, and I don't have to constantly push content. But yeah, it's basically just YouTube at this point. I'm so tired of Instagram, and of course there's all kinds of things with TikTok right now that's happening. But enough of my naysaying. What about y'all?
The only one I do is Instagram because That's enough.
I feel like that's actually really helpful. I feel like people really feel like they need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
You have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. In fact, I think for most people, it is most beneficial to like pick the platform that you enjoy existing on the most, that you enjoy making content for the most, and just do that thing.
Yeah.
Nothing else is going to be sustainable in the long term if you're just on it because, you know, that's what's effective today. But make an email list. Everyone make an email list. Most important thing, no matter what social platform you are using, get people on your email list because that's the only thing you own.
That's good advice. I need to do that. Have not done that. I also have not like actually updated my website in 2 years, maybe. I feel like, I don't know, just trying to have an active studio practice while maintaining all of that. It's just, I don't know how you do it, Chelsea. Like,
I paint far less than it looks like I paint is the answer to that.
aw.
Yeah. I feel like at the end of the day, if you like got a gallery that can do marketing for you, that's like
That's the dream.
that looks more and more appealing. That wasn't appealing to me when I was starting. It definitely is now.
Bill says, thank you for the response about life and reference. I was most interested in how you process changes when life is primary versus when photo reference is primary. If you look at photo reference with a different eye.
Wait, can you say that again?
Yep. So he says, I was most interested in how your process changes when life is primary versus when photo reference is primary, if you look at a photo reference with a different eye. And then Wendy says, it's so motivating. Thanks, Chelsea. I cleaned my 2-week-old covered palette.
Nice. Do you feel ready to paint, Wendy?
Yes, I bet she does. I'm sure that response will come in very soon. Then Gail says, hey, Lewis, can you explain guerrilla marketing when you're back? Do you mean you're just trying to find ways to walk right up and introduce yourself? Well, yes and no. What it really means is that I'm interacting more with people that are around me and finding ways to create more interactions. So, for example, when I deliver one of my portraits to one of my clients, I tell them, look, this is a very special and sort of intimate thing. But if you want to invite one of your closest friends that you would consider family, I'm planning on opening a bottle of champagne and we're going to like celebrate this and there's going to be like a fun unveiling. And so one of the ways I do that is I just have them have a couple of their friends over for the unveiling. And that ends up sparking more interest for more work to be done. Another way early on, when I was like in college, I would do my commissions at a coffee shop. I would do the sketches and I would do little colored pastel color studies of what I was about to paint. And then people would just always be curious. And you'd be amazed at how many times you end up getting some sort of commission or work that turns into something larger, which turns into something larger. So, if it's using the 3 degrees of separation to kind of connect to everyone.
That's genius.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was one of those things where it kind of serendipitously happened one time and it was successful and kept doing it.
Had your clients seen your like a little bit of what you had been working on prior to that point? Because I can imagine you want to make absolutely certain that like when you're having this event, they're not like, oh, but could you make the eyes a little bluer, or you know, whatever thing can happen. Not that it should with the work that you're making, but I know that's kind of like a unfortunate reality of like working with other people is at some point you will get that input. So is the unveiling typically like the first time that you know your clients have seen at all what you're working on?
That's a really, really good question. Yes, it is the very first time they lay eyes on the actual painting, but I do a lot of prep work that most artists don't. So my interactions is first, I involve the family pretty heavily on the photo shoot side. So when I actually go and get shots or reference, or even setting a pose for doing it from life, they're involved in the process of what I'm about to do. And so my goal is to inspire them with what ideas I have about how I want to set the pose and get them excited about it. And then say took 1,000 shots of their child, I usually narrow it down to my favorite 5, and then I involve them in the process of the final. Then after that, I do a charcoal sketch and a miniature color study, similar to what y'all were talking about earlier. No likeness, nothing like that. It's just swaths of paint to show what the color harmonies will be. And then I do this like large on like brown paper, actual size, quick contour gesture sketch of what it will look like at scale. And I take those 3 things to them and have them approve all 3 of those things. So the charcoal sketch is for likeness, so that I won't have to worry about moving the eye down. And then I use the charcoal sketch as my transfer image to transfer for the painting. And then, so when they see it, there's very little room for error. And that I've never had an issue where I had to change anything on a likeness.
Thank you for sharing that. That makes a ton of sense. I know I kind of quickly got to the point when I was doing more portrait commissions where I would do a full Photoshop mock-up of the final that, other than just like literally the specific brushwork, was meant to look like the final everything. But of course it's digital. It's based on the photo reference and everything else. And that was the point where the client was welcome to really give me whatever feedback, which is great because it's before I've like actually sat down to do any work on it, and we can, I think, talk that through much more easily than if I had already put months of thought and labor into that piece. And I really liked hearing kind of your alternative to that process, because I think that's like one of the most important things I've learned that a commission artist can do is like make sure that by the time they see the final painting, they should not want to change anything because they have already signed off on every previous stage of the project.
Thank you. It's been a wild ride. Get there.
There's a part of me that kind of wants to go like work on stuff in a coffee shop now.
Honestly, I miss those days.
Yeah.
Because you just have the most genuine interactions with people. I used to bring in, before I started doing a lot of oil paintings, I would do oil pastel ones too. And I would just bring in a couple of photos and just sit on like a large overstuffed couch and just work on it. And you just have the most interesting interactions with people. It was a lot of fun.
We should do like an East Oaks field trip day.
Yeah.
Honestly, that would be fun to even film. Where
Yeah.
you kind of go out and, you know, interact with the audience in some way, shape, or form, or just the public. You know.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. That's not the right color temperature.
Carolina says, "Thank you all so much for your very generous and thoughtful responses." Our model is doing such a good job, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's been such a long week. And then I was like, oh, Libby, like, that's so weird. How did you know I was thinking about her?
Louis, do you know where we're at on time for this session?
That is a Tina question.
Oh, Tina.
4 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Everyone run.
Go, go, go!
Yeah. That ain't it.
These last 4 minutes have been very concentrating minutes.
I'm at a point right now where I feel like I'm kind of questioning some of my mixtures, but I feel like maybe that means I'm doing something right. If like you're at a stage where either there's like a degree of like self-doubt or like sort of you want to analyze something a little bit closer, like
Yeah.
just an investigative process.
I keyed mine too light, and now I'm dealing with that.
I think I did the same thing, actually. You were not alone there.
I am realizing I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason to my like, hierarchy of lights in here. So I kind of just have like smatterings of highlights all throughout this painting, which I'm going to actively exacerbate now by putting down almost pure titanium white in one more place.
What's the saying? It's a feature, not a flaw.
That's nice.
I tried to tell myself that.
So I need to knock this back, and then we'll see. We'll see what comes next after that. That was on the dark side. Actually, don't hate it. Okay. All right. That's our model break.
All right, everyone. We will be back in just a bit. Everybody, well, hold on. Everybody, we're back, and I will start off with Jose. Due to costs, I'm looking for replacement for lead white other than zinc or permalba. Have any of you heard of mixing calcium carbonate with titanium to make it more transparent like lead?
I haven't.
I mean, I know
but that's
theoretically
interesting.
that would work, but I don't know. I haven't done it, so I can't
I-
talk about it.
So my only knowledge of calcium carbonate, and then Evie, I'm curious if you have thoughts on this, being our resident pigment master. Is that it's highly absorbent. Like I know that it's often used as a filler for like painting grounds, and it makes the surface way more absorbent. And it's generally not desirable. I know like marble dust is, I think that maybe I'm conflating these two. Maybe it's Friday night and I'm just not getting this straight anymore, but I would potentially, like, I think I would err on the side of titanium that you're not. I think I would just lean into titanium and then use medium to get the consistency you want, even if it doesn't have the transparency you want. But that is just me. And I'm curious what others think.
It was, the question was calcium carbonate mixed with what?
Titanium.
Well, I'm trying to think. I would be a little bit concerned about the opacity of that, depending on like what, you know, what kind of handling properties you're really looking for. Because the calcium carbonate, you know, I'm thinking of like, there's some people, and actually many people and many civilizations historically have used crushed up seashells as pigment, which is calcium based, and that is extremely opaque. So it would have a duller lightening quality rather than a brightening quality, if that makes any sense. I also don't know how chemically stable it is to mix with titanium. But you know what? Test it out. I think if it can be a creative solution to a problem and it ends up working, then awesome. And the two are relatively safe to handle. So if you want to just experiment with these new pigments and try it out, I see absolutely no reason not to.
I think the only reason I can think of would be like if you really do want something to last and you aren't sure how
archival that is.
Yeah, I would see if somebody has actually done some like aging tests on that before I ran with it. But other than that, I think, yeah, given that they're safe, like literally no harm in trying. But I'm curious if you've done any research on like what other artists have used. My general thing is, like for me personally, I don't assume that I am smarter than the artists who have come before me. And if something was available but like was not used, I'm typically inclined to assume that that's for a reason. And that I would be better off just like figuring out how to use what I have. And like leaning into like the properties of titanium, for instance.
I know that they had said that their issue with lead is just the expense. I am currently using Michael Harding's foundation white, which is a mixture of lead with titanium. And it's, it's still like not cheap, but it's cheaper than a normal lead pigment. And I've actually been enjoying using it quite a lot. But yeah, and so far as like actual calcium, I also question chemically if there would be issues surrounding the acidity of that, because I do believe that calcium would be more acidic than titanium. If anybody knows that to be contrary, then please feel free to correct me. But I do think it is more acidic, so that could have some implications, depending on what substrate you're working on. You could potentially run into some issues there.
Yeah, I think to add to the conversation, I think one of the things to ask yourself is what are you trying to accomplish? Is it the toxicity levels of lead and trying to eliminate that from your palate because of that reason? Or is it because of an expense? I think that's the first place to start, because then there's other ways of doing it. If it's an expense thing and not a toxicity thing, like you were saying, you can find mixtures and mix your own to still have similar properties. I do that all the time. But as far as the others, yes, there's somebody had mentioned George O'Hanlon and natural pigments. As far as I know, somebody also asked if it was okay that we mentioned them. As far as I know, it is fine with us that you mention them. They're dear friends and we believe in their products. We don't get any endorsements from them, so we talk about them because we enjoy what they put out there. And he also has a whole program. We were actually talking about it earlier on painting best practices that you can find at his website. So he would have the best answer that is available to us, because this is someone who dives very deep into these conversations to make sure that the best options are available for artists to use out there. So thanks for bringing that up. That's really good, great question. Joyce says, thank you so much for adding the names to the easels. So I'm glad we have that so everyone knows who is who. Some of my favorite moments on these are when people don't remember that they're being mic'd and just start talking to themselves. Just, stupid. Why did I make that move? I do that all the time.
You're doing commentary on my page?
I think both of us did that back to back.
I have a tendency when I'm like concentrating on something to stick my tongue out like a child. And I'm just trying to think really hard, like, okay, Evie, don't do that on camera. I probably have and will, though.
Luckily, for the most part, y'all's faces are not on camera.
Great.
Wendy says, are all so beautiful.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Needed that encouragement. I think you saw my facial expression at my painting.
I entirely empathize.
It's important to know that you win some, you lose some. It is always a learning experience, and not to be too harsh with yourself when you are experiencing the learning experience.
It's very zen.
Yes, I'm trying.
I'm experiencing all right.
And to make it abundantly clear, it is not the fault of our beautiful model. She's doing amazing.
Awesome.
Where is this gonna go? Ah. Yes. The thing that I needed.
It's always a relief to have those aha moments.
Yeah.
I say enviously.
It's okay, you can say it with more spite in your voice if you want.
Must be nice.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like majestic. It was just like an unexpectedly pleasant thing that happened with the brush that I wasn't anticipating. That I
Hey, I'll
wanted,
take it.
yeah, I wanted to practice gratitude around.
There you go.
My edges are so hard over here.
Often when painting lighter skin tones, it's such a game of temperature shifts rather than, or color shifts, temperature shifts, rather than, clear value shifts. So.
And Britt says, do y'all all have the same colors on your palettes from the beginning, or do you have your own preferences? What are the colors?
Every one of us has a different palette. Does anyone have evidence to the contrary?
I think they're all slightly different, but still with, the same purposes in mind. So like, there's probably like differences in, our like super chromatic paints or like certainly the brands. I think we'd use different brands depending on what we need, but like differences in like chromatic colors and neutrals, just serving similar function.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a tricky question to answer because there's no one size fits all. But at the same time, I feel like what trips people up so often is like, I need to go buy cobalt turquoise because that's like the magic color or something like that. Or feeling like every time you go to Jerry's, you like need to get a new thing to put on your palette and test, when the reality is that there's only so many pigments that have been tested, that are permanent, that are light fast, that have like decent tinting strength. And at the end of the day, there's kind of only so many options. But at the same time, there's enough that I don't think we all have the same palette either. Yeah.
Do you guys want to run through just really quick and tell them what we're using today?
So I have what I used from my palette this morning when I was working on my rose and eucalyptus painting.
2 seconds. I'm going to put it on your palette while you talk
Oh,
about it.
okay. So I have ultramarine. I have ultramarine, cobalt, transparent red oxide, transparent yellow oxide, alizarin permanent, magenta, vermilion, cobalt orange, cadmium orange, and transparent yellow medium, which is like cad yellow but transparent, and lead white. I won't use all of those for this portrait. I have only been using the 2 blues, the transparent ones, maybe some of the alizarin. I'll just say not the cad orange and not the cad yellow because they're too acidic and strong for this particular setup. They don't go for what I'm working with right now. But the transparent yellow I'm using. So this is something that personally, this is quite an expanded palette, and I could probably could simplify it a bit for this particular painting. So that's me.
I will go next. I feel like it'd be kind of interesting to show my nasty palette next to your beautiful one. But I guess it's better than it was before.
Just a little bit, Chelsea. There.
And you definitely want to get this side. Do you have that, Lily?
Got it.
Cool. Yes, so I have titanium white. I have some cadmium, so I'm not dipping into it all. It's just leftover paint. Yellow ochre pale. This is nasty and you can't see what it is, but it's Terra Rosa that's formed a skin that has a lot of titanium white on it. Permanent rose, viridian, ultramarine, transparent oxide brown, transparent oxide red, and I have a little bit of Olea gel over to the side.
Perfect. Can somebody say that that's break? So.
Yes, that is our model break.
However, we will kind of go through the last palette, and then we'll.
My palette is a mess. Welcome to my mess.
Okay.
So I have, let's see, I've got ivory black, transparent brown oxide, transparent red oxide, black, brown, red, terra vert, viridian, cobalt, ultramarine, manganese violet, alizarin, cad red light, foundation white. I have this on my palette, but I'm not currently using it. It's all dry, leftover mush. That is some, I think it's a warm light from Michael Harding. Both of these are. And then lemon yellow, cad yellow, Naples yellow, Indian yellow, and yellow ochre. Ta-da!
All right, everybody. We'll be back shortly for another session.
Is this the last one?
No, is it?
I hope not. I think there's like 2 more, right?
No,
Is it 8:20?
It's 8:25 right now, so it probably sort of is the last one.
No. I feel like I asked for.
It'll be a longer session.
That's the spirit. Thanks, Louie.
Yeah, I said at the start of this how excited I was to paint your ear. You don't have an ear yet.
Nothing like paint in the background to make you feel like everything's okay.
So what are y'all thinking about on this last session of how you want to clean it up and make final decisions? The answer is, I don't want to talk, Lewis. I just want to concentrate.
There are some like glaring errors that I made, like certain temperatures and values were way too hot and light. And while some things I can't change at this moment, because I only have one session left, and I can spend my time doing other more productive things, I'll focus on that. And that was, for example, covering the background to get the color temperature to let the skin tones come forward. I covered some of the hair, which I just didn't cover the canvas yet. Now I will go back over the features and make sure that my edges are working and my drawing makes sense, and that my value, for example, on the nose is too dark, and so it stands out, makes it look off when, if I tweak the value, it'll improve it. So trying to do a little bit of everything, but prioritizing, like I'm not going to re-key the painting, I'm just going to tweak what I have to make it the best that it can be at this point.
I am working on fixing some value and temperature changes that need to happen. And also gonna try to get an ear in here. We'll see. It might be a very quick, 5 brush stroke ear, but
Hey, that can
Hey,
look cool.
yeah.
You know, it can
Like,
happen.
if you're gonna pull this off in 5 brush strokes, I'm here for it.
Let's see. Yeah, okay. All right, let's do it. I'll try to count.
Everyone watch Evie.
Go, go, go. Okay. 5 brush stroke ear. Why have I done this to myself? I regret.
No pressure. You just have everybody on YouTube watching.
Okay. Trying to think of the direction of where I need to start and where I need to end for each stroke. So all right, that's 1. Oh God. Okay.
It's actually a really good exercise to do, though.
Mistakes have been made tonight, y'all. Okay. That's 2.
I believe in you.
Okay. Oh, that's not enough paint. Okay.
Yep.
Just put a big old brush mark in the middle of. Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's fine. It's fine.
3. I'm just gonna slowly die in a corner now. Thanks.
Hey,
4.
I made it this whole time without dropping a brush like that.
He said that to me with such enthusiasm.
No, only because it was bound to happen.
No, that's not where that mark should be.
All right, that's fine.
Here?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, it looks
What
like
do
an
you
ear from here.
What do y'all think? It's ear.
I think if it looks like
An ear from where Tina is.
Okay, I am actually gonna fix it because it's.
Yeah.
Way to go, Evie.
I tried.
Also, we have a comment from Rembrandt. Evening, everyone. This is nice. I will definitely have to come back for more sessions. Thank you, Rembrandt. We always appreciate it when you stop by to see what's happening here at East Oaks.
Great name.
Chelsea, what are you focusing on this? Last
well,
portion.
I'm not sure how audible it was, but I was literally just muttering to myself, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Good sign. Yeah.
Yeah. So asking myself what I'm doing is, I guess, the focus at this stage. I'm actually like seeing a lot on the model that I haven't seen in the past, and I'm kind of gaslighting myself, wondering like if I couldn't see it or if it's actually different. And I'm like trying to strike the balance between wanting to capture the interesting stuff that I'm seeing and also not wanting to get sucked into something that is a giant boondoggle. But to actually answer your question and not just be evasive, actually looking quite a bit at her neck and like intersection with the jaw at the moment. Not because I think that I'm like really onto something with that, but just because I'm seeing things there, and at this point I'm not inclined to challenge what I'm seeing. Like if I see something I know I can do and it doesn't require changing other parts of the painting, I'm not going to look that gift horse in the mouth. And in the process, just trying not to mess up the face.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm playing it a little safe. Like, you know what I really shouldn't do right now? Try and do something with her mouth, which isn't great at the moment.
Is that exactly what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm about to do.
I was going to say, I'm
Foolishly.
going to work on the mouth. I think mouths are my least favorite thing to paint.
I actually really love painting mouths.
I think they're beautiful, so it's not because I don't like the feature. I always struggle with them. So
I think I would have a little bit easier time if I had zoomed in on her face just a little bit. But I'm kind of like at the one hair brush stage.
yes.
And yeah, I need to just kind of be honest about what I can actually accomplish. And I'm pretty sure there's a drawing error, and I can't tell what it is. Watch me like bend and snap and knock out both of our easels. That would just be on point at this moment. Okay, maybe that's fine. How's it going back there, Louie?
It's going great. Everybody looks good.
I was about to say, like, I don't need to know how everyone's doing. I just want the escapism of knowing how it is for you back there right now.
How is it for me?
Yes.
It's going as good as it can go.
You look really comfortable right now.
Finally just get relaxed into your spot, you know?
Well, there's all these beautiful colors I could have captured, and instead I tried to fix the mouth, you know?
I'm kind of in that same place with the nose at the moment.
Oh. Follow your dreams, Amy.
Yeah, you say that, and then I end up with a 5-stroke ear.
And does it look beautiful?
you know, her ear is gorgeous. I don't know if my depiction of her ear is gorgeous, but it's an attempt.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
And Britt says, there are no art classes nearby where I live, so I'm so grateful for this way of attending. New times, new ways.
Awesome. Yeah. I am so excited by like just the way that like arts education can be more accessible now.
That should be a soft edge. Yes. Okay.
Oh God. Just having a crisis over here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something to be said for the bravery of making big strokes. And also the foolishness.
Risk and reward.
Yeah, it's a fickle thing.
That looks nicer.
John Flynn says, hey Chelsea, catch them neutrals.
What was the end of that?
Catch them neutrals.
Oh man, John and I were talking about getting those neutral flesh tones earlier today. Doing my best, John. Thank you for the words of encouragement.
So that was 20 minutes.
Yeah, y'all can keep going for till the end. So
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I'm gonna unless
Are we
What is the
okay
end?
having the model sit for another 15 minutes?
You want to take a 5-minute break, Amelia, and then do another 10, or would you think you could power through for 15?
I think I could power through.
You sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Trooper.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
You're
a
the
rock star.
best.
Yes. That highlight. Sealed the deal. Okay. It's my brightest highlight. Nothing else is allowed to be that bright.
Oh man. feel like I'm rushing right now, and I'm like just trying to remind myself not to mess up. Don't do anything stupid.
I know. I literally just, like as you were saying that, I was in the middle of a, what are you doing?
Oh, that looks great.
That would be the delirious part of the
Oh,
stream.
no.
Yes.
Whoops. Gonna. Nothing happened.
You know, I probably feel better about this if I weren't on top of it.
On top of it? What do you mean?
Like literally standing on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'd be able to kind of get a better beat on how this is looking. I feel like I actually am not seeing it very well at this stage. Sure, I'll take that.
Joyce says, looking wonderful, all of you.
Thank you, Joyce. Coming in clutch with the boost that I need. Okay, don't hate it, but will it be enough? Okay, I think that's it.
Wow. Nicely done.
It's more just me kind of cutting myself off before I do something silly. But I will, you know what? I take that back, thank you.
Yeah, 1 minute. All right, everybody, while everyone's finishing up, I just want to tell you thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you to Erica, Chelsea, and Evie, Tina, who's in the background, and our wonderful model, Amelia. You've done an excellent job tonight. If anyone is more interested, we have links in our description for how you can look at the reference images if you want to paint along or watch it again and paint along with us. Also, if you want more information about how to subscribe to either our other two platforms with Atelier Live at East Oaks, or find out more information about just subscribing to our newsletter, all you have to do is look down in our description. We have links to all of those things. Please, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit the bell so that you will be alerted the next time we do it. Most of the time we do these on Thursday nights once a month, and we look forward to the new year and having everyone back, and hopefully adding some more fun new ways of doing this this Painting from Life evening. So everyone, happy holidays to you and your family. Y'all be safe, and we look forward to seeing y'all again. Everyone, how about y'all give a little... All right, everyone. Well, y'all have a lovely evening. We'll talk to you soon.